Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is great to see you this morning. It is Monday, August 12th, and it is actually back to school day for a lot of kids in our area. So I find it really strange that we're going back to school so early, but that is how we do that. So good morning, good morning. My name is Bonnie Sachs, and I am the award-winning author of the Health and Happiness Guide to the Universal Laws. And this is my happy half hour. And this morning we are going to be talking about the quantum field. And it'll be really interesting for us to have this conversation. Hopefully you all will want to share some of your thoughts and ideas about it. Good morning, Aaron and Robin and Eileen. It is great to see you. And this particular conversation has been kind of fun and interesting how it has shown up, because it has been a long process. Actually, I think the first piece of this conversation is the quantum field and how the quantum field is always listening to us. And I thought it was kind of entertaining that yesterday I was sitting on the computer and I was looking up wines and seeing who carried which wine and where I might be able to get some wines that I really wanted to try. And I asked my husband, hey, what's the name of that wine that I used to drink a long time ago? It was a really good wine, but I can't remember the name of it. And he goes, oh, it's called Truth Wine. And then we had started having this conversation about it. And he actually texted me the picture of the bottle. And the wine is actually from 2012. And so we had, it was a wine that I absolutely loved at least 5 years ago. And then this morning when I woke up and got on Facebook, what picture popped up in my feed from 8 years ago, but that very same picture of the wine bottle. And I walked into the bathroom and showed my husband the picture. I'm like, look what popped up on my feed. And he goes, wow, that's such a coincidence. I'm like, yeah, not so much. That was just a reminder that the quantum field is listening. The quantum field is paying attention. The quantum field is like reminding us that everything that we put out into the field is coming back for us to see, right? Good morning, Jamie and Gretchen and Tracy. It is great to see you. And it's just a huge reminder for us that what we put out absolutely comes back to us. And so, I kind of laughed because he thought it was like, wow, what a coincidence. And then I reminded myself and told him about last week when my friend Robin and I were talking, and we were actually inside our house. I was walking towards the front door, and I was joking about divine timing and divine perfection. And I was like, I am so tired of hearing about divine perfection. I just do not want to hear it again. I'm so tired of it. I open the front door and I walk outside, and there's a gentleman across the street who is getting out of his car and having a conversation with the neighbor across the street. And he says, it's all perfect. It's all perfect. And Robin and I just turned around and looked at each other and busted out laughing, because what are the chances that that's going to happen, right? And we joke all the time that you can't make this stuff up, that it absolutely happens exactly as it is supposed to. And then just as another reminder, right, the next day I'm sitting in a restaurant with my friend Eileen. Actually, Robin was there as well. And someone was talking about being nickel and dimed in the sale of their house. And it was like, I know we're getting nickel and dimed. We're getting nickel and dimed. And literally on the radio in the restaurant, the song Money came up. And it has the sound of change in the beginning of it. And it's just one more reminder that the quantum field is always paying attention to what we're talking about. And so I love that that came up as a conversation, because there's another thing that has been showing up for me this last week, and I really want to share it with you. It's just an awareness. It's something for us to see, like, I hadn't thought about that. That piece hadn't crossed my mind. So good morning, Eva and Karen. It is great to see you all. And the other thing that has come across has like sort of keeps jumping across my awareness is this post on Facebook. And it is a post that has actually gotten 155,000 shares. And some of you may have seen it and shared it, and it is completely fine. But it is more of this example of what you put out into the field and what we have to pay attention to, what we really want to notice about the field. And so this post is actually, I don't know if you all can see it, I have a picture of it. It's a picture of a woman, and the post is about being rude. And it talks about being rude, and that being rude is easy. It doesn't take any effort whatsoever. It's a sign of weakness and insecurity. And from the minute I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, why would anybody even post that? Because it just seems so unkind to talk about somebody being rude in that way. And for me, it's like, what are we putting out into the field, right? If I sit there and say, oh, it is so easy to be rude. I mean, people who are rude are just like, it doesn't take any effort, and they're so insecure, and if I came on my Facebook Live and I started talking about that, I'm 100% sure that at least 5 of you would text me and say, what in the world are you thinking about? And why are you saying that? And then more of you would send me messages and be like, I don't know if I want to listen to her anymore. I mean, it just, hopefully, you would say, gosh, that feels really ugly. I don't like the way that feels. I don't think I need more of that. And so this post is going around Facebook and showing up like a really beautiful thing, right? Like, because it goes on to talk about kindness, and, being kind is people who have worked hard, who have really spent a lot of time on their growth and their discipline, and they've really worked hard at it. And I certainly do not take anything away from anyone who has had to work at being kind. I am certainly one of those people who has to work at being kind, that there are times when I'm like, it's all I can stand to be nice to somebody. And so I completely understand that perspective, but I don't want to look at the situation that way. I want to look at the situation of how I can be kind from a place of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing next. This is what I want to put out into the quantum field. This is the love that I want to put out into the field. Does that make sense, or is that me? Is that just like a crazy thought? Good morning, Jill. It's great to see you. I just think about that piece, how those two marry each other, is that the quantum field is always listening to us. The quantum field is always paying attention to what we are saying, to what we are duplicating, to what we are putting back out into the field, right? So just like me talking about the wine the one day and the next day the picture showing up on Facebook, if I'm sending stuff out into the field, no matter how it is, if I'm doing it through my Facebook Live, if I'm doing it through a Facebook post, if I'm doing it with how I'm speaking about other people, the field is responding. The quantum field is responding to me, right? It's busy out there going, oh, let's give her more of that. Let's send more of that to her. So to me, if I'm putting stuff out that is aggravated, irritated, annoyed, I'm just going to get more of that back. if I put something out there that is judging people, that is making comments about how people are and what they're doing, even the ones that we feel like we have a right to say, right? There are certain people out in the public that we as Americans feel like we have a right to talk about them, even when we're putting that stuff out there. Oh, well, did you see what she did to her husband? And did you see what he said in public? Can you believe he made that gesture out in public? When we're putting that stuff out into the field is a creative medium, right? It's a creative medium. The way it's being shown to me this morning is like a giant copier. I'm not exactly sure how that literally translates, but it's like what we put out into the field is what gets copied over and over and over again, right? So if somebody posts something that we don't agree with, and we take that and send it to somebody else, what have we just done? We just made another copy of it. We just made another copy, and it's out there in the field. And it's going to come back to us as more rude, more unkindness, more anger, more fear, whatever it happens to be, whatever the energy is behind what we duplicated. So in that post, the one that really showed up for me is, holy moly, why in the world would we share this 155,000 times? We're busy duplicating that, right? Out into the field. We're saying it's really easy to be rude. People can just be rude all they want. I don't know about you. I don't want any more rude people in my life. I'm working to put enough love, to put enough joy, to put enough true kindness out into the world that it starts to shift all that fear, all that anger, all of that separation, and allows us to start going, oh, yeah, that's right. Do you feel that? Can you feel that kindness coming through? Can you feel that joy coming through? I definitely want more of that. And so I love that the message today is about what we're putting into the quantum field. How are we not aware of what we are putting out, right? I certainly was not having that conversation with my friend Robin about divine perfection for the purpose of having an awareness when I walked out of the house to have somebody say it's perfect. I was just having a conversation, right? I was just doing my bitch session over here. If I have to hear one more time that about divine perfection, I'm just going to, right? That was just my bitch session. But then the quantum field had an opportunity for me to go like, oh, look, there it is. There it is. And I had the good sense, at least at that point, to laugh about it. And so this is an opportunity for us to look. What are we putting out there? What are we putting out to be duplicated? Now, I don't know about you. I'm going to confess that I have had lots of show-ups, lots of times that have been showing up for me where I start complaining about other people. I know who I can get together with, who will join me in a conversation about, oh my gosh, did you see? Can you believe? What was she thinking, right? And it could be somebody who is just walking by. I once saw this gorgeous woman, beautiful woman, wearing this dress that was see-through. And I'm sure it was jealousy on my part, right? She had a gorgeous body, but she wore the most see-through dress ever. And I turned around, I was like, oh my God, can you believe that she would wear that? What was she thinking? Oh, why would her boyfriend let her out like that? I mean, is there any harm in that? Is there really any harm in that? Well, yeah, absolutely. Because what was I doing? I was putting something out into the field that was going to not be supportive and kind to her. I could have just as easily turned around to my friend and said, whoa, look at that body. If I had a body like that, I'd wear that too, right? Same kind of thing, different energy behind it, different intention behind it. And when we start paying attention to the intention that we have going on, we can start to change the world. We can literally start to shift our awareness, just like Tracy said. So it's an awesome opportunity for us to look at what we're tossing out. What are we saying out there? We have this format of Facebook. It's easy to duplicate. I think that's probably the reason why I get that analogy of the copy machine. It's kind of funny because it's the first day of school here and I'm getting the old-fashioned copy machine. Is anybody old enough to remember that mimeograph machine? It's just putting out duplicating whatever we say, whatever we put out into the field. And it doesn't have to be like something that is, oh, well, you have a certain frequency, so you're going to put out this, and you have a certain frequency, and you can put out that. This is just everybody on the planet. Whatever their stuff is, whatever they're putting out, it's just going out into the field and being duplicated. The quantum field is not concerned about what the information is. It's not looking at the frequency of it and saying, oh, let me pick up that because that's a high frequency and I'll double time duplicate that. Oh, that's a low frequency. We don't need more of that in the field. I'll slow the speed down so we only duplicate it at half amount. The field is just out there going, duplicate, 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 duplicate. What are we putting out there? And how can we see it show up? Good morning, Elena. It's great to see you. Good morning, Laura. It is a great conversation for us to just pay more attention, to have that awareness that how this concept of manifesting happens is that we're putting information out into the field. If we are putting information out into the field that is saying, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, that is going to come back to us again and again and again. If you have a fear that something is going to happen to you, that will occur at some point. There will be something that shows up in the field. If you're putting out that you're not sure if your business is going to be successful. I had a conversation last week with someone who was like, how can I create more positivity with my business? I'm like, just keep putting it out there. That's funny because it shows up like, put out. I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I understand this process. I know that I'm looking for people who are going to show up in my business that I'm here to help. They're going to show up. The people I'm here to help, the analogy I always get is people with pink shirts and red dots are going to show up because I'm putting that out. Pink shirts, red dots, pink shirts, red dots, pink shirts, red dots. I'm going to just keep putting that out. And they're going to find me. That's how the quantum field responds. Always, always, always. Good morning, Amber, and good morning, Erin. I'm curious if anybody has any of those kinds of ways that the quantum field is answering you, that the quantum field is showing that it's paying attention. It can be in a lot of different ways, right? It can be very easily in a piece of music. I know another friend of mine was talking about driving down the road and having the exact music that she needed come on the radio, like one song after another with the same theme. It's like, wow, what a coincidence. Or is it? Good morning, Lauren and Regina. It's great to see you. It could just be that the quantum field is telling you this is what you're going to talk about. This is what's coming up next. This is what I want you to see. I want you to notice that when you put the positivity out there, it always comes back. It always shows up again. So I'm hearing that I need to talk again about this, about the energy behind posts. And all of us who tune in here are really sharp when it comes to energy. We are really energetically aware. And so it's like, yes, go ahead and talk about that. You can absolutely talk about the energy that is put behind posts. So sometimes there is a post out there that if you look at the text of it, you're like, oh, that's really nice. That's a really nice post. I think I'll go ahead and share that because I want to make sure that that goes out. And there is sometimes like what word do I want to use? There's actually like a covering over top of it that's like, oh yeah, that's a lovely post. Let's duplicate it. But when we stop a moment and we look behind the words, we can actually see that there is something more behind it. Now, there have been posts I've showed people and they're like, whoa, that's a really angry post. And another one that people have looked at and they're like, wow, they're really creating some serious separation there. And I can then show it to other people and they would be like, huh, that's really nice. It's no big deal. And so what I want to encourage all of us to do is to actually look at the energy behind it, to go behind the scenes. It's like pull back the curtain. Say, what exactly is the energy here? What is the intention behind it? Is it really to spread love and to spread wisdom and understanding? The example that I've been using is this post about being rude and being kind. And there are a ton of posts out there about being kind. And I love the one, I'm sure every one of you can relate to this, that post that's out there that's like, you know, being kind to somebody because you never know what they're going through, right? There's the story that goes behind one of them where a man who is just rude and he's letting his children run all over the hospital and climb on the furniture and be really obnoxious. And if you were sitting in the waiting room, you'd be like, what in the world is that man doing and why isn't he paying attention to his kids? And the perspective shift is that he just found out that his wife died and he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to respond. He's so caught up in his grief that he can't pay attention to his kids, and his kids don't know how to handle themselves. So there are a lot of posts out there that have that intention, that have that stop and think about other people. There are other things sometimes going on. But then there are those posts that are out there that are just like, people are rude and people are obnoxious and they don't pay attention and they're not, you know, they're not as enlightened as I am. They're not as aware as I am. And those are the ones, sometimes we don't even see the energy behind it until we pull back the curtain and we go, oh yeah, crap. I don't want to send that out. I don't want to have that have more airplay. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the person who does that thing. And so it's a great opportunity for us to be like, huh, what exactly is that behind there? No, don't need more of that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that or go ahead and pretend that it's not even there. Give it more love. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put more love on top of that and help disintegrate what is getting in the way, what is keeping people from seeing that that particular post is creating separation. Here's the kind people. Here's the unkind people. Here's the rude people. Here's the people that aren't moving up in frequency. Here's this, here's that, right? Doesn't that feel yucky? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. I'll just give myself a healing because that's always a good thing. So what I would love to see this week give you a little bit of homework, give you a little opportunity is to start looking out there and seeing where you're getting reassurance that you're doing what's next for you, where people are showing up for appointments because that's what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe it's where people are canceling appointments or changing appointments around, and you're like, what's going on here? Maybe I don't need that client anymore, or maybe I'm being told that there's something else going on. When we can start looking at what's going on, looking at what is triggering us, maybe you're flipping through Facebook and you're like, the same kind of post is always triggering me. Or maybe you're flipping through Facebook and you're like, if I see that post or that person post one more time, I'm just going to like scream. Maybe there's something there for you to look at. Maybe there's something there for you to heal. Maybe there's something there for you to see. The quantum field is saying, yo, Bonnie, are you paying attention? I know there are certain posts that come up on Facebook. Whew, do they trigger me? They trigger me like nobody's business. And wouldn't you know that that's the post that when I turn on my phone and flip to Facebook, that's the very first post I see over and over and over again. It's because the quantum field wants me to know. Let's heal that. Let's move more of that judgment. Let's move out that fear. Let's move out that anger. Let's get rid of what no longer is serving you. It's so freaking cool. It's so much fun when we can start to trust that things are being responded to, that people are actually have some control in their lives. When somebody puts something negative on your post, wow, well, that never happens to me, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean. I'm just so kidding. Yeah, when somebody does something like that, I really try to pay attention to my response. You know, I've had some posts, right, that I have really wanted to type some information. And I actually, this weekend, I had 2 posts in particular that I was like, blah, 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 blah. I was hot. I had some great information to tell that person. And I got to the last period and I heard, now erase it. Erase. I backspaced everything, erased it, and just said, nope, I need to leave it alone. Sometimes the best thing to do is to leave it alone, right? Sometimes if we just stop aggravating the situation, it'll go away. I actually got an ant bite on my foot, right in the very spot that my shoe rubbed every time I walked. Is that annoying or what? And I was like, oh yeah, sometimes instead of me going in there and itching it, sometimes I just need to leave it alone. Sometimes I need to stop getting irritated about it, leave it alone, and it'll fall away. It'll disappear. So often for me, it's me checking in with my soul. What am I supposed to do? Tracy, like everything, if you blast somebody about a Facebook post and you hit enter and you're like, yeah, there, that's good, and you walk away, that's exactly what you are supposed to do. Whether it was motivated by your soul or whether it was motivated by your personality or your ego, that's what you are supposed to do, because that was the teaching for you. I have certainly done that. I have responded with information that I knew was true. And people came back and blasted me for it. And I was like, that's good teaching for me. That's an opportunity for me to see that I don't always have to respond, or I have to be able to respond to that person in that way. I have a lot of times that I need to have a response to somebody, and it's an opportunity for me to practice. So as in everything, it's just trusting that if you post and you walk away and you don't think about it, it was exactly what was supposed to happen. If you post it and you went, oh my gosh, I don't think I'm supposed to post it, you go back and you delete it. I've certainly done that as well. Trusting that you're getting the information, that you're doing what's next for you to do. So important, so important. And I certainly appreciate every single one of you that shows up to play with me on Monday mornings. And I hope that you have fun playing with the quantum field this week, that you see what's popping up for you. And if you have a great example, post it on my page because I would love to hear about it. And I hope you all have a fabulous week and you really enjoy everything you're doing. Take care.